Good morning. It is at least the early morning. I don't know if anyone is going to be up to watch this. It is almost 1:30 here. We're on the East Coast, and ordinarily I'd go to sleep right now, but I've been meaning to do this video, and I'm really excited about it. If you've seen the title, I want to talk about Mr. Kevin Samuels. Rest in peace to our dear brother. And I want to offer a really unique perspective. If you value my philosophies and practices, and if you follow Kevin Samuels at all, I think that you'll really enjoy my perspective. So without further ado, let's get into it. So yeah, Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels for me was really interesting because I've been married a few times myself, and from my experiences, I got married first, I believe, at the age of 31. I think I was 30 or 31, and that was almost 20 years ago. So, and I've been married a few times since. So I've developed, sort of my own philosophy, which I'm going to share later in this video. And it's going to really be pertinent in terms of how I analyze Kevin Samuels, at least as far as the message, but then looking more critically at Kevin Samuels, the man himself, and how maybe one didn't necessarily match with the other. So we'll get into that. But I just wanted to really kind of, because the thing is, like, I was really drawn to him for the simple fact that, from my experiences being married, having children, doing the family thing with in different situations, different women, different experiences, I definitely formed, again, my own viewpoint on male-female relationships. I was able to really come to, my firmness as a man, and being what we call traditional archetype male patriarch, and that sort of thing. So I was very drawn to his message, and like I said, I'm going to get into because I want to talk about later on. I'm going to talk about the I developed my own male archetypes, and I'm going to get into that a little later. But initially, again, I was really drawn to it. Obviously, it had an entertainment value, with the sound bites. It definitely was informative, entertaining. I mean, he was truly a master at social media marketing, debate. I mean, it was just like, and again, he made an impact. He from watching him, I think I started watching him about a year ago, and I remember, at least at that time, a lot of the conversations were definitely very contentious, very a lot of just again just tense energy, as people didn't necessarily wanted to challenge him, and I stepped away from watching his videos for a while, but more recently, as of late, you didn't witness that. in the same way. You didn't necessarily see the the women would be coming on and would be more agreeable. So I felt like he definitely made an impact in the minds of a lot of women, especially black women. So say what you want, as far as like the way he delivered his message and the way he may have been sort of um, disrespectful, or what was the word he used? I can't remember at this point, but he was definitely uh, uh, just I mean, he would go from 0 to 100, and really, just really. I mean, that was his way. So he's obviously wasn't perfect, and um, he definitely was. But for me, ultimately, it was a fresh, it was a fresh message in the age of one censorship. I really was amazed at the fact that, if especially on YouTube, if you don't have a message that shows the that fits along with the official narratives, and we all hear these narratives, on the loudspeaker, and if his message was definitely against that, at least some of the narratives that have been pushed now in mainstream media. So it was amazing, not only that he was able to have a contradictory message, or a message that didn't rhyme with the narrative message. He was able to have a YouTube channel that I've never. I mean, I follow a number of people on YouTube, and I've never seen a YouTube channel where you have all of these different subscription levels, and I mean, even the super chat was even on another level. I mean, I mean, his thing. I mean, he had it mastered. So again, salute to Kevin Samuels. His message will be missed, but one thing I want to, because the thing is, like, for me, he certainly, I learned some things, definitely, and I think if you watched him, we all did. Um, some of the things that were really, because like I said, I mean, I look at him like, so, for example, he often references his background. He was very public about his Christian faith. And I came up, me personally, I came up, with similar background. The traditional black church, fire and brimstone, very religious. But as far as the family values, that was something that I, that was impressed upon me. So I was able to share that, and then also I believe he was engineering major as well through school. So was I. And then obviously he was also, I think he was married twice, had one child. So again, and he's a little older than I am. So I just felt like we were in a similar age bracket. We had similar experiences from birth till now. But yet, again, I want to, because I'm excited to share like some of my viewpoints. Now on here, I usually, obviously, it's all about health. We talk about health, but because relationships are such a huge part, and that's how, because he obviously focused on relationships. I mean, we all are affected in one way. We're all interested in relationships on some level, and obviously provocative, that was the word. He had a way of being very provocative, and so because he was provocative, and because he, his energy, and as such, he brought it, and so, and I guess me doing it in this hour, his live streams were into 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. So yeah, I thought it was only fitting for me to be doing this stream in this hour. All right, because one of the things is like, I think ultimately we can look at these situations and ask ourselves, what can we learn? What do we know? I do know, like, from a health perspective, he had an early bout with cancer, um, and he was able to beat that. But we don't know the lasting impact. I mean, one thing we could say about cancer is that cancer is the final stage, or one of the it's an evolved stage of toxemia. Toxemia in our bodies have it basically evolves, and the highest evolution of toxemia is cancer usually, and at the cancer stage is usually, after that, is death. So I believe he was able to successfully, part of his success was attributed to the fact that I believe he was in his 20s when he had cancer, and he was able to succeed through that. However, I mean, he still had cancer at a relatively young age, so we have to keep that in mind. The other thing is, again, some of the things that I want to highlight that I learned from him was, one thing I used to say, and I say this with all respect. Again, I don't want none of that. I'm not looking for the Kevin Samuels smoke. Even though we're talking about Kevin Samuels, but one thing I would say is that men are builders and women are destroyers. And I say that in love and respect, not that men just build and women just destroy. It's sort of a opposite polarity, where, like, yin yang, negative positive. But I do say it in the sense that, as men, it is, when men, especially men that are really connected to their purpose, it's really just a drive to say, this is what I'm doing. Where women, on the other hand, again, it provides that balance. One can't, we all can't build, and we all can't destroy. So I use the word destroy not in a negative connotation. I just want to be clear with that. But he really helped me to, he would often highlight the fact that men build the world. That men, when we, even myself, being an engineering major, being at Howard University, most of the, even at a predominantly female institution, meaning that the student body was predominantly female, in the engineering building it was predominantly male. The one area of engineering that had more women than men was chemical engineering, and that was primarily because a lot of the chemical engineers would go to med school. So it wasn't like they were chemical engineers to become chemical engineers. They were chemical engineers because often that was a good major. That was often probably a better major than doing something like pre-med, or biology or chemistry. But yeah, mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer science, all of it's generally men are attracted to those professions. So he helped me to, he brought further insight in that, and I just wanted to highlight that. Some interesting stats, being that I have 4 children. One of the most interesting stats was that 20% of the men in the Black community have 80% of the children, and I thought that was a fascinating stat. Yes, so again, just some, and there were many other points that he brought out that I found very informative, But one of the things that, again, because I definitely, in addition to talking to Kevin Samuels, I really want to talk about just black men in general. One of the things that, he really challenged, or he really went to bat for, was the black man. um because again, it's so easy for us to really throw shade. I mean, he would make mention of some of the pop culture songs, Scrubs and what have you, and yet we would always in our society pump up the black woman. I mean, even now, I wanted to do a video, but I think it would be fitting to really couple it and talk about it now. The whole Will Smith, Chris Rock fiasco, or slap, as they say. One of the things is that we've seen is the psychological destruction, or the, maybe destruction is a strong word, but the psychological destruction of the black male and the black man. And because the thing is, what I've noticed, and again, I don't have any stats or anything, but just from my viewpoint, is that it's almost like the black man is put on is seen as less than, even, you know like, again, mentioning Will Smith, for example. I mean, Will Smith, I mean, something about that just doesn't smell right in terms of his relationship with Jada. Any man that is, maybe, I mean, I don't know what he's worth. I mean, they said maybe 300 million. He's obviously the A-list top cream of the crop actor. I mean, he's been successful since the days of Fresh Prince. So the rapper, and then became Fresh Prince, the actor, and then Will Smith. So he has reinvented himself multiple times throughout his career. He's definitely, he's iconic in terms of his natural talent and ability, but yet he acts like a simp with his wife. To me, it just doesn't smell right. I feel that he is playing the role, he is playing the act, as if black men can't be successful and be alpha men. He is not acting like an alpha man. And I feel that he is basically, I feel like it's on purpose. I don't feel that that is truly Will Smith, the man. Simply because when we see him on, whether it's Red Table, we obviously seen the situation at the Oscars. This is not this is somebody, I feel personally, and I mean, this is my hunch, that he is, his strings are being pulled for the point of saying, like, again, we can't show black men that, again, are successful and then acting like alphas. This is going against our overall agenda. And then again, all right, it sounds conspiratorial, but it just doesn't make sense to me as a man. Even, I thought about, when we talk about black men and, being empowered and having examples, because you could think like, okay, well, we see superheroes, right? And obviously we were all happy. We all went out to support Black Panther, right? The Black Panther movie. And even him, my man, the first real black superhero, he's died. Now, I mean, it could have just been like, I know he has some serious health issues, but he was younger than I was. And I know that he had some health consciousness. So again, we don't often see, we just don't see it that often. Yeah, there are some, I mean, I'm sure if I think hard enough, there could be some examples to the contrary of what I'm saying. But again, just in our modern day society, we actually see the opposite. One of the images that I thought was that actually I was personally disturbed by was the fact that when you see Joe Biden, and then right behind him was Kamala Harris, along with the new justice, the Supreme Court Justice Brown. And so you see this white man with two black women behind him. To me, it sends a message. I mean, Kamala Harris is one heartbeat away, one weak Joe Biden heartbeat away from becoming a powerful lady, a powerful black lady. Black women, again, it sends a message that black women don't need to listen to or don't need to respect black men. And if when we understand relationships, one of the things that for any man, whether he be a very wealthy, successful man, or he just be an average man, he's gonna want respect. And so again, this is why we definitely see. I feel like is all orchestrated, especially with Will and Jada. To me, I'm not buying any of what they're selling. I feel like they're they're orchestrating their roles in empowering Jada, making Jada seem all powerful. When I mean, if I'm Will, I'm like, I can have 10 Jadas. Again, it's hard for me to accept that. It's hard for me to buy. Um, Again, just my thoughts. Now, I want to get into, I want to kind of sum this up and bring this home, and bring it back to Kevin Samuels in the sense that, you know, I actually, we know he popularized the term high value man, right? And I don't know the exact definition, but we know that he was probably more than likely a high value man. I don't know. Again, I don't know all the boxes you check. Certainly, it was somebody who was successful, somebody who was probably with in their late 40s or beyond, so established in their career or their profession, who had a maybe a certain net worth. Again, I don't know the exact definition. However, one of the things that I formed, in my involvement as a man, but as a thinker, was my own male archetypes, and basically, there are three primary archetypes with men. So let me go through those really quick. And again, this is independent of age, but it's very simple. It's at first we have the boy, and again, regardless of age. So the boy archetype is the archetype where basically just immaturity. No matter what the age, you grow up, you go through life, and you're basically at a low level vibration, like whether it's like you're focused on sex, you're focused on, you don't have any major responsibilities. You probably don't have, usually the boys, if they have any children, they're not responsible for them, but they're not taking care of them if they have any children. They're certainly not married, and they're certainly not building. They're not producing anything that is going to leave any type of legacy. So very simple. We probably know of someone or people who fit that mode. Okay, so boys. Then we have men. All right. So men, the male archetype or the men archetype is men who are responsible on a level where they probably have a family. They probably have a good job, a career. Again, they're taking care of business. They're leaving a legacy. Um, um, like I said, wife, children, good job, responsibility. You know, they're showing they're showing that again that they're productive, and they're showing that they can be responsible for other human beings, um, at least their own immediate family. And then at the highest level is the king archetype. So the king archetype is it takes it one step or a few steps above the men archetype, where the king is not just uh, again probably married, having maybe multiple or many children. But then even beyond that, usually the king archetype is usually part or the leader of like a major institution, like for example a church. You know, the king would obviously be the pastor or the bishop. You know, somebody that is obviously has his own family, but also responsible for many other families. You know, we could also see this energy with a CEO, a president, a mayor, you know, somebody like that. So that's the king archetype. Now, when I look at Kevin Samuels has been married. What archetype under my definitions would I put Kevin Samuels in? Because I think it's pertinent, because obviously there's like, uh, according to, and I've heard this secondhand, according to the police report, when he passed, I believe he was with a young lady that he probably was dating, and complained of chest pains, and then I believe, I don't know if they, again, I don't know the details. I'm not going to speculate. But as far as the archetype, I'm only mentioning that because, you know, as I mentioned, you know, we look at boy, man, king. Yes, Kevin Samuels was a high value man, but under my archetype, Kevin Samuels was he acting as a king? Uh, I mean, he built his platform and he was very successful. But in terms of being, he wasn't married. I mean, he's been married, but he wasn't married. He wasn't responsible in terms of, you know, again, leading people in some way, in some fashion, at least even if it's around your purpose. And he wasn't acting even as a man. So I would really, you know, even though he had achieved a high level of success, become a celebrity, he was very much acting as, to me, in my view, a boy, in the sense that, so I won't call him a boy, especially being my elder and even a mentor of sorts, but I would label him a prince. You know, he was a high value prince, not a high value king, and not even a high value man, but a high value prince, which is a nice way of saying boy. You know, if we think in like traditional times, and you know, we have king and we have prince, and usually the prince is the young boy who has access to resources and could do whatever he wills. And basically, I feel that Kevin Samuel's success, because again, Kevin Samuels, I've watched enough Kevin Samuels, and I could sense that it definitely was not his intention to get married. You know, as a man, as a king man, I feel that, and again, it's not that you have to be a pastor or highly religious person, or somebody who you feel that has that duty, that responsibility. But just as a again, a if you're trying to, I mean, for me, and that's my definition, because I feel like, as men, we be there's levels to manhood. And I mean, again, his success, his celebrity, he obviously traveled a lot, and he had his focus groups, which basically inviting women between, I think, age 25 to 35 to talk about such and such, and they had to be educated. I mean, it almost seemed as though he was basically creating his pool of women he could basically choose from at whim. um Again, very much Prince energy, Prince boyish energy. Not Prince the singer, but just the Prince. We have the king, and we have the queen, and we have the prince. And again, and like I said, his success and celebrity allowed for him to do that. He didn't, to me, take the higher spiritual route, in terms of saying, like, okay, it's up to me to make one of these women that I'm dating, or even if he wanted to do the poly thing, I mean, still, like, look, let's form an institution. That's what kings do. Kings form institutions. Kings build lasting spiritual institution, financial institution, but they build institution. And yes, he was married twice and divorced, but I mean, again, he had the means to get married. He certainly talked to women all day, every day, it seemed. And to and I mean, he had enough content, and his message was clear enough to say, to for any woman that I'm sure would have been willing to marry him, that it would have been very clear, like, look, you marrying Kevin Samuels, this is how it's gonna go. So him not being married, again, it just showed me that, while he, obviously was a big promoter of marriage, at least in terms of his message, and really encouraging not just women but men as well to form that. I mean, again, the family is the foundation for society. If we were all brought up and we're not part of that familial institute, that's the first institution. That's the first, that's how we form all of our values. That's how we, I mean, it's so important, it's so fundamental to our society and life itself. Where if we don't have, when we grow up in broken families, that produces broken society. But so so I really wanted to, because I think that, I mean, given, to really circle back to Kevin Samuels, as far as the health of Kevin Samuels, because ultimately it was a health issue that took him out, right? Him having a heart attack. We can speculate that, obviously, his early bout with cancer, but then, living like the rich prince, and not really taking a more spiritual, responsible approach to a relationship himself, and saying, like, okay, certainly, again, he had his pick of the litter, and it could have been, not just the lifestyle in terms of the women I'm sure he had in his life, but then also, again, what that afforded him in terms of, the food that he was able to access and eat, I mean, the whining and dining and the, I mean, he certainly didn't. I'm sure he wasn't. I'm almost certain he wasn't a vegan, um, and definitely not a raw vegan for sure. So, I'm sure again eating a rich diet, number one, and I know he was into fitness and on that level, but then also what nobody has mentioned is that it's likely, I speculate, that he took the JB. All right, and y'all should be smart enough to know what I'm talking about. And again, if you've done any research on the JB, it has created heart issues in many of the people who have taken it. So again, we haven't, no one has mentioned that. Again, these are all factors. And like I said, as far as the major takeaway from 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 the male archetypes that I discussed, I feel that as men, and this is my message, not only to myself but to all of the men listening, is that um again, success on a professional level, on a business level, I believe only encourages or only increases your responsibility if you're not a part of a family already, but is to create that family, is to create, if a woman that you're interested in, you're dating in, is to marry that woman and to create that institution and, become that male king archetype. Because again, while, you focus on the message, and the message was great for the most part. Um, but again, was he practicing the message at the highest level? And I mean, I think it's easy to say that he definitely was not, especially given his resources, especially given his knowledge and experience. I mean, yes, he was married twice and divorced. I'm sure he could get it right the third time around. And for me, and again, it was his life, it was his time. But as far as, again, what we can take away, so that's what I took away. That's my analysis. um I hope y'all appreciated that. Again, I wanted to talk about it because, again, what I've learned from him and what I've been able, and I know that again, his impact was huge. I mean, if you think about the fact that, how he was able to manipulate social media, Instagram, YouTube, I think he was also on Facebook. And I mean, because he could have written a book like our sister, great Queen Mother Shahrazad Ali, who he was inspired by. I believe he had mentioned her a few times, um, and her book was very successful. Her books, obviously, were very successful. But his direct engagement, to have a platform, and he could actually, you know, actually video chat live and broadcast it live for all of us to see, was, again, just amazing. And again, to have that immediate impact, and so salute to the work that he put in. He put down his legacy, and his message, I think, will be remembered for the long term. um, but I think, in terms of, if we are to take anything away, especially as men, we are to, again, take it to the highest level. And whether you fulfill that king or that male role, in terms of, becoming an institution builder, becoming, and again, like I said, he was successful. Nobody's taking that away, but I just feel like, just living that royal prince lifestyle. The royalty was from his celebrity, but just you know again, it was clear that he was not trying to get married. And I mean, had he been married, and would that have added years to his life? I would think so. Obviously, he would have someone who he would be committed to in some way. And yeah, I didn't mention the Red Bulls. Yeah, thank you for and I know, he would also mention, yeah, people wanted him to drink water. So again, I mean, he was 100 miles and running. I mean, the Red Bulls was obviously like, keeping him like his high energy, and just going to the point where it's like, you know, you gotta you gotta it's what do I always say? It's the turtle that wins the race. So yes, the stats do say that married men live longer, but I think it's because, again, you're operating at a higher spiritual level when you become married. I mean, how long? I mean, the man was 53. I mean, but yet it was almost like he was acting, he was trying to live the lifestyle as if he was 25. You see what I'm saying? And I think ultimately that's what took him out. That's what took him out. Trying to basically, because it's like he was really getting into his groove, his success groove. I mean, you think about that. Like his celebrity had really just like sort of just taken off. And I mean, as a man, you know I mean, having have had like success with my business at a level where, okay, you're just getting into like, okay, like for me it's like, I have my business, and it's basically like taking on a life of its own. I got the support. I got the cash flow. Everything is flowing. Like I'm really feeling it, and you start to really, enjoy it on that level. You know, but at the same time, at least for him, I felt like he used that to his advantage to basically, I don't want to say take advantage of women, but obviously he's having relations with women, he's having sex with women. I mean, for what end? For what end? So when you look at married men staying or living longer, you're involved with another soul that you've committed to the institution of family. And I feel that was, again, it just negates the success. So that's my take. I hope y'all enjoyed that. If y'all have any comments or questions, I'll stay on for a few minutes to take those. It is past 2 a.m. I do have to go to sleep and wake up. I got a big day tomorrow, as I do every day. But just some final announcements. Um, Again, I am open here in the DMV, cane and coconut. Got the food, got the juice cleanses. I'm planning a retreat in December, Jamaica. So I will have a flyer soon. And planning to do some summer festival events these next couple months. So hope to see you, either it's on here, or if you're on here, if you're on YouTube, definitely like, share, subscribe to the channel if you're not already. I appreciate y'all tuning in. And yeah, I'm gonna just sign off. Again, share the video. I hope y'all enjoyed my take on Kevin Samuels. I just want to say, I appreciated the brother overall. Definitely learned a lot and appreciated how he was able to create the conversation and really take a stand for Black men in this age of I ain't even gonna go into it. I mean, we live in a crazy age right now. So yes, I really appreciate the work, the legacy that he created, and I feel that I've listened to a lot of takes on his death, and I feel that I was able to offer a different and fresh perspective on it. So again, uh, if you want to support the channel, there's the Cash App, Kepler Raw, and yeah, I'm signing off, going to bed. Peace. See y'all later. Maybe next week. I probably won't have a live stream this week. Probably next week. So again, thanks y'all for tuning in, and I will see y'all soon. Peace and love.